Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Kaiser and Hande's YouTube Poecast. I am Hanu, and I'm joined once again by the one, the only Retro Kaiser.
I hope I'm the one and only. Oh, I can't imagine more than one of me roaming around this planet. That'd be madness, utter
Yeah,
madness.
yeah, yeah. I can't imagine that too. All right. So, if you have never listened to Kaiser and Hande's YouTube podcast or Hande and Kaiser's YouTube podcast, because I occasionally get the title mixed up and I switch our names around, this is a podcast where I read an Edgar Allan Poe story and Kaiser does sound effects and observations and sometimes research. Although today you don't actually have to do so much because, well, I'll explain in a minute. Yeah. So, but Kaiser is the sound effects guy. Give us a sound effect right now. That's a good one. So the idea here is Kaiser loves when I read scary stories for him, and he loves making funny noises as well. So this is a perfect podcast format for us. And we have a couple of these horror story podcasts. The Poecast is the original, and we're coming back to this after, I think, quite a while. I don't think we didn't do a Poecast last year. We did.
No, I think you were very busy and I was very, very sick. So,
But we did do Unnamed Horror, which is our H.P. Lovecraft podcast where we read Lovecraft stories, and we did those horror story podcasts where I was reading my own horror stories. I think I literally just call them our horror story podcast or something like that. Like, we're not very good with the names. The Poecast is we peaked with the Poecast and it's been all downhill from there. Yeah. But anyway, this is a long time coming. We are finally doing the Gold Bug. I have talked about this in prior podcasts. I have mentioned the name multiple times. And today's story is an outlier in the canon of Edgar Allan Poe's writing for a couple of reasons. First of all, this is not a horror story. Second of all, this is, I guess, a sort of a mystery story. There is a mystery involved. But I have actually also heard this being referred to as an adventure story.
interesting.
Yes. Which already makes it which alone already makes it a bit of an outlier. And thirdly, this was the commercially Poe's most successful story that he wrote during his lifetime. I think I might be mixing this up, but I think he entered this into a writing competition, and it was published in a newspaper afterwards as well, and he made a lot of money off. This is one of the only stories that he made a lot of money off of during his lifetime because.
Sad thing is, he probably pissed it all away on alcohol.
Well, possibly, yeah. So this is an interesting one, and because of this, because it is such an outlier in his writing, this is one of my all-time favorite Edgar Allan Poe stories. The one part of the story that I'm not a big fan of is really the ending. The ending, I think, that's the part where we might be skimming a little bit. But there's another thing we have to talk about. Okay, I usually don't like doing a long introduction, and this is a long story. So the story is about as long as the Murders in the Rue Morgue. And when we did the Murders in the Rue Morgue already a couple of years ago, that was over a 2-hour podcast. So
Was it really that long ago?
yeah, 2019. That's when we did it. Yeah.
Crap.
Yeah. So we don't want to do a 2-hour podcast. So what we're going to be doing basically what we did with the Call of Cthulhu when we did that on the Lovecraft podcast, Unnamed Horror. I already forgot the name. So we're going to be splitting this off into 2 podcasts, roughly an hour long each, I hope. And at the end, as always, whenever we read one of these old horror stories, we will have a discussion section at the end where we'll discuss our feelings and about the story, what we thought about it, what were the positives and negatives, and what were some funny things that we found. So usually I like to keep the conversation at the end because I hate it when it takes a long while going. In fact, with Murders in the Rue Morgue, I actually have to point this out as well. I've actually added, very recently, I added some time codes into our original podcast because Murders in the Rue Morgue, I think the biggest problem with that one is the opening. The opening is very long. So I actually put in a time code. If you want to skip into the meat of the story, where the story actually starts, you can actually now just do that. There's a time code for that. Okay, but usually I don't like a long introduction, but today, because I have always known that when we were inevitably going to do this story, there was going to be a character I was going to have to address ahead of time. There is a black character in this story, and his portrayal in modern context might seem a little problematic. The story was written in the early 1800s, before the Civil War, and you are going to be hearing the way that this character speaks in the story, the way it's represented, is a bit weird. But I'm going to read the dialogue exactly as it is on the written page, because if I try to convert it to, I don't know, proper English, that would take too long, and it wouldn't be very authentic. Also, the way that the other characters describe this black character is also not politically correct by today's standards. You are going to hear the word Negro multiple times in this story. Now, you need to understand that and we will touch upon this again at the end of the podcast as well. But you have to understand that word Negro was used as just a general term for black people in the time of Poe's writing, and it's being used here not in a derogatory term. So that's why I'm okay saying it, because it is in the text that way. But there is another N-word in the story, the bad one, the one with 6 letters, and that appears in the story 4 times, and because this is the internet, and I do not want there to be just a sound clip of me saying that word floating around there, I am going to, and I do feel like a bit of a hypocrite for doing this, because when we've done like the Lovecraft stories, we've never danced around the fact that Lovecraft was a pretty horrible racist. So, and I usually am of the mindset that if you're going to read a historical text, no matter who's it by, you should read it warts and all. All the ugly bits being in there as well. But yeah, like I said, this is the internet, and I don't want that voice clip of me just floating around out there. So I have decided, even though I didn't really want to, but I have decided that each time that word, the bad N-word, shows up in the story, you are going to hear me say the word neighbor instead. Because it's the same amount of syllables, and it won't break up the sentences too badly. So that's it. That's just necessary forewarning, that, don't get mad at us. It's just the way the story was written, and that's the way we're going to do it.
And especially don't get mad at me. I'm not reading the story whatsoever.
Yeah, because I usually I don't have a problem. And there were some pretty horrible things in those Lovecraft stories, but this one felt a little dicey to me. So I decided today to err on the side of caution. Okay, but without further introductions, are you ready to start with the gold bug, Kaiser?
Wait, I want to get this right out of the way straight up first. Every time I hear the title, The Gold Bug, it reminds me of arguably the most annoying Transformer in Transformers history. There is a Transformer called Goldbug, which is just an upgrade version of Bumblebee, but he talks a lot more and with a very annoying voice.
Huh. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know that. Weird thing about the Goldbug, I've always seen it with a hyphen, but in the... so I have this in the collection that I have used previously, Selected Tales, Edgar Allan Poe. But today I'm actually using a website for other reasons. And that's the reason. It's a website. The story has little info bubbles, the blue words, when you click on them. They tell you what the words mean. So that's why I said that Kaiser might not need to do as much research today.
But Google can rest for the day.
All right, but now let's start with the story of the Gold Bug. Many years ago, I contracted an intimacy with a Mr.
Ooh.
With a Mr. William Legrand. And yeah, I think contract and intimacy is a really funny way to say it. He was of an ancient Huguenot family and had once been wealthy, but a series of misfortunes had reduced him to want. To avoid the mortification consequent upon his disaster, he left New Orleans, the city of his forefathers, and took up his residence at Sullivan's Island, near Charleston, South Carolina. This island is a very singular one. It consists of little else than the sea sand and is about 3 miles long. Its breadth at no point exceeds 1/4 of a mile. It is separated from the mainland by a scarcely perceptible creek, oozing. Not that kind of creek. Oozing its way through the wilderness of reeds and slime. Well, yeah, I was wondering, like, where's my ooze? I was waiting for my ooze. It was never coming. I don't know why I put on a New Yorker accent today. A favorite resort of the marsh hen. Yeah. I'm not sure if marsh hen, is that the same as a coot? Huh. I need to check that. Sorry. Bird watcher over here, so that's why. The vegetation, as might be supposed, is scant, or at least dwarvish. What, no hi-ho?
I was going to...
I'll do that again. The vegetation...
Oh.
Yeah, okay. No trees...
Now I'm just picturing the 7 dwarves marching around in, like, speedos or something, scantily clad dwarves.
What? Ew. Okay. No trees of any magnitude are to be seen near the western extremity, where Fort Moultrie stands, where are some miserable... What? Where are some miserable frame buildings? Whoa, that sentence seems like it's, like, not correctly written. Okay. Mm-hmm. Tenanted during summer by the fugitives from Charleston dust and fever may be found, indeed, in the bristly palmetto. But the whole island, with the exception of this western point and a line of hard white beach of the sea coast, is covered with a dense undergrowth of the sweet myrtle, so much prized by the horticulturists of England. The shrub here often attains the height of 15 or 20 feet and forms an almost impenetrable coppice, burthening the air with its fragrance. In the inmost recesses of this coppice, not far from the eastern or more remote end of the island, Legrand had built himself a small hut, which he occupied when I first, by mere accident, made his acquaintance. This soon ripened... Just a hello. This soon ripened into friendship, for there was much in the recluse to excite interest and esteem. I found him well... Yes. I found him well educated, with unusual powers of mind, but infected with misanthropy. Misanthropy, that's a hard word to say. And subject to perverse moods. Of mind, moods of alternate enthusiasm and melancholy. He had with him many books, but rarely employed them. That's a funny way to say it. His chief amusement was gunning and fishing, or sauntering along the beach, and that's more like skipping than sauntering. Okay, and through the myrtles in quest of shells and or entomological specimens. His collection of the latter might have been envied by a Swammerdam. Okay, I need to check what the hell that is. Swammerdam wrote Historia. Oh, it's a guy. Okay. In these excursions, he was usually accompanied by an old Negro called Jupiter, who had been manumitted before the reverses of the family, but who could be induced neither by threats nor by promises to abandon what he considered his right of attendance upon the footsteps of his young Massa Will. So manumitted meaning that he was actually he's a free slave, Jupiter. Yeah. It is not improbable that the relatives of Legrand, conceiving him to be somewhat unsettled in intellect, had contrived to instill his obstinacy into Jupiter, with a view to the supervision and guardianship of the wanderer. The winters in the latitude of Sullivan's Island are seldom very severe, and in the fall of the year it is a rare event indeed when a fire is considered necessary. About the middle of October 18... Here Poe goes again with his fucking... Can't be bothered to write the last 2 digits of the year. Just 18... Okay.
18XX.
Exactly, 18XX. There occurred, however, a day of remarkable chilliness. Just before sunset, I scrambled my way through the evergreens to the hut of my friend, whom I had not visited for several weeks, my residence being, at the time, in Charleston, a distance of 9 miles from the island, while the facilities of passage and repassage were very far behind those of the present day. Upon reaching the hut, I rapped.
Wooka wooka.
As a way of my custom, and getting no reply, sought for the key where I knew it was secreted. That's a funny way to say it. Unlocked the door and went in. I'm wondering if I read that correctly, because he doesn't mean like secrete like a wood secretes like sap. It means like secreted. Can you say secreted? Like as in put in a secret place. That's what it means.
Secreted?
Yeah, exactly. But that sounds like the tree thing. Well, whatever. Moving on. A fine fire was blazing upon the hearth.
Ooh.
It was a novelty, and by no means an ungrateful one. I threw off an overcoat, took an armchair by the crackling logs, and awaited... What was that?
Oh, sorry. I was cackling, not crackling.
Yeah, I was like, a creepy clown awaited my arrival, and awaited patiently.
No, this isn't the Stephen King podcast. We're not up to that chapter yet.
And awaited patiently the arrival of my hosts. Soon after dark, they arrived and gave me a most cordial welcome. Jupiter.
Hello.
Jupiter, grinning from ear to ear, bustled about to prepare some marsh hens for supper. Well, I doubt that they were still alive, but okay. Legrand was in one of his fits. How else shall I term them? Of enthusiasm. He had found an unknown okay, I read that completely wrong.
Bivalve.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm starting over. He had found an unknown bivalve forming a new genus, and, more than this, he had hunted down and secured, with Jupiter's assistance, a scarabaeus, which he believed to be totally new, but in respect to which he wished to have my opinion on the morrow. And why not tonight? I asked, rubbing my hands over the blaze and wishing the whole tribe of Scarabaei at the devil. Wishing the whole tribe of Scarabaei at the devil. Okay. If I had only known you were here. Oh, sorry. So that was my Dupont voice. I'm not sure if that's... I'm going to keep that up, but said Legrand. But it's so long since I saw you, and how could I foresee that you would pay me a visit this very night of all others? As I was coming home, I met Lieutenant G. Okay, again, another mysterious name. What do we want to call this? Lieutenant...
Gary.
I met Lieutenant Gary from the fort, and very foolishly I lent him the bug, so it will be impossible for you to see it until morning. Stay here tonight, and I will send Jupe down for it at sunrise. It is the loveliest thing in creation. I actually did not mean to put a pause in the middle of tonight, but I need to point out again, in Paul's day, tonight was spelled -night. So I accidentally paused there, but it turns out like it actually worked there. What? Sunrise? Nonsense, no, the bug. It is of a brilliant gold color, about the size of a large hickory nut, with 2 jet black spots near one extremity of the back, and another somewhat longer at the other. The antennae are... There ain't nothing in him, Massa Will. I keep a-telling on you. Here interrupted Jupiter. The bug is a ghoul bug, solid, every bit of him, inside and all, except him wing. Never feel half as heavy a bug in my life.
Is this guy supposed to be Jamaican?
Well, like I said, he's supposed to be from New Orleans, but who knows?
Yeah,
Like,
it doesn't sound like New Orleans.
yeah. I'm again. I am pressing upon the listeners. I am reading the way it's written on the page. So yeah. Well, I suppose it is, Jupe, replied Legrand somewhat more earnestly. It seemed to me than the case demanded. Is that any reason for you letting the birds burn? The color. Again, I'm sure Jupiter wasn't cooking the birds alive. The color, here he turned to me, is really almost enough to warrant Jupiter's idea. You never saw a more brilliant metallic luster than the scales emit. But of this you cannot judge till tomorrow. In the meantime, I can give you some idea of the shape. Saying this, he seated himself at a small table on which were a pen and ink, but no paper. He looked for some in a drawer, but found none. Never mind, said he at length. Never mind. I said it so quickly, and he said at length. This will answer, and he drew from his waistcoat pocket a scrap of what I took to be a very dirty foolscap. Foolscap, okay. Size paper formerly said. Oh, okay. And made upon it a rough drawing with the pen. While he did this, I retained my seat by the fire, for I was still chilly.
Oh, sorry, misheard you. Please said seed for whatever reason.
Oh, okay. When the design was complete, he handed it to me without rising. As I received it, a loud growl was heard, succeeded by a scratching at the door. Jupiter opened it. Jupiter opened it, and a large Newfoundland belonging to Legrand rushed in, leaped upon my shoulders, and loaded me with caresses. What, no dog sounds?
No.
Okay. For I had shown him much attention during previous visits. When his gambols...
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?
When his gambols were over, I looked at the paper and, to speak the truth, found myself not a little puzzled at what my friend had depicted. Well? Oh, sorry, this was the narrator. Well, I said, after contemplating it for some minutes, this is a strange scarabaeus. I must confess, new to me, never saw anything like it before. Unless it was a skull or a death's head, which it more nearly resembles than anything else that has come under my observation. A death's head, echoed Legrand. Oh, yes, well, it has something of that appearance upon the paper, no doubt. The two upper black spots look like eyes, and the longer one at the bottom like a mouth, and then the shape of the whole is oval. Perhaps so, said
Sounds
I.
like you're describing one of those creatures from Legend of Zelda.
Skulltula, yeah, a little bit. Perhaps so, said I. But Legrand, I fear you are no artist. I must wait until I see the beetle itself, if I am to form any idea of its personal appearance. Well, I don't know, said he, a little nettled. That's a good word, I like that. I draw tolerably, should do it at least. Have had good masters, and flatter myself that I am not quite a blockhead. But my dear fellow, you are joking then, said I. This is a very passable skull indeed. I may say that it is a very excellent skull, according to the vulgar notions about such specimens of physiology, and your scarabaeus must be the queerest scarabaeus in the world, if it resembles it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's always a fun word when it shows up. Why, we may get up a very thrilling bit of superstition upon this hint. I presume you will call the bug Scarabaeus caput hominis.
Scarabaeus, let me go.
That's Scaramouche. Or something of that kind. There are many titles in the natural histories, but where are the antennae you spoke of? The antennae? Said Legrand, who seemed to be getting unaccountably warm upon the subject. I am sure you must see the antennae. I made them as distinct as they are in the original insect, and I presume that is sufficient. Well, I said, Perhaps you have. Still, I don't see them. And I handed him the paper without additional remark, not wishing to ruffle his temper. But, yeah, but I was much surprised at the turn affairs had taken. That's a weird to say. I expected there to be like a the before the affairs, but okay. I guess technically that's grammatically correct. His ill humor puzzled me, and as for the drawing of the beetle, there were positively no antennae visible, and the whole did bear a very close resemblance to the ordinary cuts of a death's head. He received the paper very peevishly and was about to crumple. That's not what peevish means, though. It'd be like sheepishly, yeah. And was about to crumple it.
Trying to find something to crumple. Here we go.
Apparently to throw it in the fire when a casual glance at the design...
3 points.
No, but he didn't. He stopped himself. When a casual glance at the design seemed suddenly to rivet his attention.
Ooh!
In an instant his face grew violently red. In another, as excessively pale. For some minutes, he continued to scrutinize the drawing minutely, where he sat. And he turned into a gremlin for some reason. At length he arose, took a candle from the table, and proceeded to seat himself upon the sea chest in the farthest corner of the room. Here again he made an anxious examination of the paper, turning it in all directions. He said nothing, however, and his conduct greatly astonished me, yet I thought it prudent not to exacerbate the growing moodiness in his temper by any comment. Presently he took from his coat pocket a wallet, placed the paper carefully in it, and deposited both in a writing desk, which he locked. He now grew more composed in his demeanor, but his original air of enthusiasm had quite disappeared. Yet he seemed not so much sulky as abstracted. What? How can you be abstracted? That sounds really weird. That really ought to have one of these blue texts over it. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? I guess...
He suddenly turned into a Picasso painting.
As the evening wore away, he became more and more absorbed in reverie. That's not what it means. Condition of being lost. Oh, no. Well, okay. It says here, reverie. That's not what I thought reverie means. When you I guess I'm thinking of reveling, which would be like being happy. But actually, it says in the explanation, the condition of being lost in thought, daydreaming. Okay. So sorry, your sound effect was actually appropriate. Never mind. From which no sallies of mine could arouse him.
What's wrong with Sally?
Yeah, exactly. I knew it was either that or the boing again, but okay. It had been my to pass the night at the hut, as I had frequently done before, but seeing my host in this mood, I deemed it proper to take leave. He did not press me to remain, but as I departed, he took my hand with even more than his usual cordiality.
Wobble, 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 wobble.
Okay, I don't know what that was.
That was a hand shaking very quickly.
It was about a month after this, and during the interval I had seen nothing of Legrand, when I received a visit at Charleston from his man, Jupiter. I had never seen the good old Negro look so dispirited, and I feared that some serious disaster had befallen my friend. "Well, Jupe," I said. I love the fact that they call him Jupe. That's such a cool name, actually. "Well, Jupe," I said, "what is the matter now? How is your master?" "Why, to speak the truth, massa, him not so very well as mout be." "Not well? I am truly sorry to hear it. What does he complain of?" Dar, that's him. Him never plain of nothing, but him very sick for all that." "Very sick, Jupiter? Why didn't you say so at once? Is he confined to bed? I am sorry, I don't know, I'm having the Shatners again." "No, that he ain't. He ain't find nowhere. That's just where the shoe pinch. My mind. Sorry, I'm now morphing into my Legrand voice while I'm trying to do Jupiter's voice.
It sounds like you're morphing into an Irish pirate right now.
Speaking of pirates, there's something I gotta show you. That's just where the shoe pinch. My mind is got to be very heavy about poor Massa Will. Jupiter, I should like to understand what it is you are talking about. Me too. This is really hard to read. You say your master is sick. Hasn't he told you what ails him? Why, Massa Tafe Dwarf, while for to get mad about the matter. Oh, that is a hard sentence.
Now it just looks like you're just someone posting on the internet now.
Massa
The
will
way it's spelled.
Massa will say nothing at all ain't the matter with him. But then what make him go about looking this here way, with the head down and his shoulders up, and as white as a ghost, and then he keep a siphon all the time. Keeps a what, Jupiter? Keeps a siphon with the figures on the slate. The queerest figures I ever did see. I's getting to be scared. Sorry, I screwed that up because I started laughing because you were laughing. I's getting to be scared, I tell you. Have for to keep mighty tight eye upon him noovers. Noovers? What do you think that is, actually? Noovers.
I have no idea.
Okay. T'other day he give me slip for the sun. Sorry. T'other day he give me the slip for the sun up and was done the whole of the blessed day. I had big stick ready cut for to give him the what? Okay, sorry. Okay, I need to check that now. So it suddenly in the middle of the sentence there's D dash dash D, and I'm not sure if that's. I need to quickly check from my book.
Are they trying to say get him dead?
Okay, I found the part in my book. Plane of nothing goes maneuvers to. Okay, we're getting close here. Give me for the sun up.
Is he just stuttering?
No. Wait. I'm getting to the part. For the sun up and was gone the whole of the blessed day. I had a big stick ready cut for to give him deuced good beating. So there's just a word missing. It's deuced in my book. Okay, that's weird. I don't know why in this internet version it's missing. Okay, deuced good beating when he did come. But I sich a fool that I hadn't the heart to utter all. Oh my God, what's going on here? It's like missing words. Okay, deuced good beating. But I such a fool that I hadn't the heart to after all. He looks so very poorly. Okay, yeah, all right. What? Okay. Yes. Upon the whole, I think you had better not be too severe with the poor fellow. Don't flog him, Jupiter. He can't very well stand it. But can you form no idea of what has occasioned this illness, or rather, this change of conduct? Has anything unpleasant happened since I saw you? No, massa, there ain't been nothing unpleasant since then. 'Twas for then, I'm feared. 'Twas the very day you was there. How? What do you mean? Why, massa, I mean the bug I dare now. Dare now. Okay. Wait. I'm looking it up now because dare now. Okay, it is. Those lines are there. Okay. Mm-hmm. What? The bug. I'm very certain that Massa Will been bit somewhere about the head by the gold bug. And what cause have you, Jupiter, for such supposition? Close enough, massa. And mouth too. I never did see such a deuced bug. Is that the deuced bug again?
Probably.
Okay, I'm switching over to the book version for now because I'm getting really annoyed with the words missing there.
Is it just poorly put into the story, or is it a word that's actually a lot worse than what it means?
No, it's just deuced, which I'm not sure what deuced actually means in this. Okay. Close enough, massa, and mouth too. I never did see such a deuced bug. He kick and he bite everything. What come near him?
Punch. It's all in the mind.
What come near him? Massa will catch him fuss, but had for to let him go again mighty quick, I tell you. then was the time he must ha got the bite. I didn't like the look of the bug mouth myself. Now know how, so I wouldn't take hold of him with my finger, but I catch him with a piece of paper that I found. I wrap him up in the paper and stuff a piece of it in his mouth. That was the way. And you think then that your master was really bitten by the beetle, and that the bite made him sick? And the bite made him sick? I don't think nothing about it. I knows it. What make him dream about the ghoul so much, if 'tain't cause he bit by the ghoul bug? I's heard 'bout them ghoul bug for this. But how do you know he dreams about gold? How I know? Why, 'cause he talk about it in his sleep. That's how I knows. Well, Jupe, perhaps you are right. But to what fortune circumstance... sorry, I messed that up. But to what fortunate circumstance am I to attribute the honor of a visit from you today? What the matter, massa? Did you bring any message from Mr. Legrand? No, massa. I bring this pistol. This here, sorry.
I beg your pardon?
No, massa. I bring this here pistol. And here Jupiter handed me a note which ran thus. My dear... oh, sorry, I forgot his voice. My dear, why I have not seen you for so long a time. I hope you have not been so foolish as to take offense at any little brusquerie of mine. But no, that is improbable. Since I saw you, I have had great cause for anxiety. I have something to tell you, yet scarcely know how to tell it, or whether I should tell it at all. I have not been quite well for some days past, and poor old Jupe annoys me. Almost beyond endurance by his well-meant attentions. Would you believe it? He had prepared a huge stick the other day with which to chastise me for giving him the slip and spending the day solus among the hills and mainland. I verily believe that my ill looks alone saved me a flogging. I have made no addition to my cabinet since we met. If you can, in any way make it convenient, come over with Jupiter. I do come. I wish to see you tonight. Upon business of importance, I assume that it is of the highest importance. Sorry, I messed that up. I assure you that it is of the highest importance. Ever yours, William Legrand.
Why didn't he receive the note earlier on in the story? We could have saved all that headache.
Yeah. There was something in the tone of his note which gave me great uneasiness. Its whole style differed materially from that of Legrand. What could he be dreaming of? What new crotchet possessed his excitable brain? What business of the highest importance could he possibly have to transact? I almost misread that because transact really looks like a weird word when you don't know, when you're not expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter's account of him boded no good. I dreaded lest the continued pressure of misfortune had at length fairly unsettled the reason of my friend. Without a moment's hesitation, therefore, I prepared to accompany the Negro. Upon reaching the wharf, I noticed... What was that?
That was a seal.
Okay, I didn't mention any seals, but I guess there could be at the wharf. Okay, I noticed a scythe and 3 spades, all apparently new, lying in
Def's playing poker at the wharf.
No, I do think he means shovels, not... Okay, all apparently new, lying in the bottom of the boat in which we were to embark. What is the meaning of all this, Jupe? I inquired. Him scythe, massa, and spade. Very true, but what are they doing here? Him the scythe and the spade, what massa will insist upon my buying for him in the town, and the devil's own lot of money I had to give for him. But what, in the name of all that is mysterious, is your massa will going to do with scythes and spades? That's more than I know, and devils take me if I don't believe 'tis more than he'd know too. But it's all come of the bug.
Ah.
Yeah, I should point out that in Jupiter's dialogue, cum, it really is spelled C-U-M, so yeah. Finding that, I'm pretty sure that they did not mean it in that sense back then, but whatever.
No.
Finding
It's
that...
coming from the same guy that wrote I Ejaculated.
Alright. Finding that
Yeah.
no satisfaction was to be obtained of Jupiter, oh god.
Oh dear.
Whose whole intellect seemed to be absorbed by the bug, I now stepped into the boat and made sail. With a fair and strong breeze, we soon ran into the little cove to the northward of Fort Moultrie. And a walk of some 2 miles brought us to the hut. It was about 3 in the afternoon when we arrived. Legrand had been awaiting us in eager expectation. He grabbed... What was that?
That was a car driving by my house.
Okay. he grasped my hand with a nervous impressment. Impressment? Okay, interesting. I've never seen that word. I mean, I guess as in he just pressed it nervously. Okay. Which alarmed me and strengthened the suspicions already entertained. His countenance was pale, and even to ghastliness, and his deep-set eyes glared with unnatural luster.
Hello there.
With some inquiries respecting his health, I asked him, not knowing what better to say, if he had yet obtained the scarabaeus from Lieutenant Gary. "Oh yes," he replied, coloring violently. Coloring violently? What?
Was he gonna just...
I need to check that. I want to check if that's a typo. No?
Was he...
No. And here's the funny part. In my book, coloring with a U. It's coloring without a U here. So they do mean coloring, okay? What is he, a fucking chameleon? Okay.
I'm just picturing he's got his crayons out, just really scratching at his drawing.
I got it from him the next morning. Nothing should tempt me to part with that scarabaeus. Do you know that Jupiter is quite right about it? In what way? I asked, with a sad foreboding at heart.
Bum, bum.
I love that sentence, by the way. That's a good one. In supposing that it to be a bag of real gold, he said this with an air of profound seriousness, and I felt inexpressibly shocked at his terrible French accent. This bug is to make my fortune, he continued with a triumphant smile. To reinstate me in my family possessions. Is it any wonder, then, that I prize it, since fortune has thought fit to bestow it upon me? I have only to use it properly, and I shall arrive at the gold of which it is the index. Jupiter, bring me the scarabaeus. What the bug, massa? I'd rather not go for trouble the bug. You must get him for your own self. Hereupon Legrand arose with a grave and stately air, and brought me the beetle from a glass case in which it was enclosed. It was a beautiful scarabaeus, and at that time, unknown to naturalists. Of course, a great prize in a scientific point of view. There were 2 round black spots near one extremity of the back, and a long one near the other. The scales were exceedingly hard and glossy, with all the appearance of burnished gold. The weight of the insect was very remarkable, and taking all things into consideration, I could hardly blame Jupiter for his opinion respecting it. But what to make of Legrand's agreement with that opinion, I could not, for the life of me, tell. I sent for you, he said, in a grandiloquent tone. Wow, that's a great word. When I had completed my examination of the beetle, I sent for you that I might have your counsel and assistance in furthering the views of fate and of the bug. My dear Legrand, I cried, interrupting him. Cried just means, yell as well. Or to ejaculate in this time period. Yeah, he made his penis cry. But I'm tish. Okay, you're uncertainly unwell and had better use some little precautions. You shall go to bed, and I will remain with you a few days until you get over this. You are feverish and feel my pulse, he said. Sorry. I felt it, and to say the truth, found not the slightest indication of fever.
I felt better.
Oh my, we are taking the story in a completely new direction now. You may be ill and yet have no fever. Allow me this once to prescribe for you. In the first place, go to bed. In the next, you are mistaken, he interposed. I am as well as I can expect to be under the excitement which I suffer. If you really wish me well, you will relieve this excitement.
Oh
no! Wow. And how is this to be done? Very easy. Very easily. Jupiter and myself are going upon an expedition into the hills upon the mainland, and in this expedition we shall need the aid of some person in whom we can confide. Oh boy, this is going in a troubling direction. You're the only one we can trust. Whether we succeed or fail, the excitement which you now perceive in me will be equally allayed. I am anxious to oblige you in any way, I replied. Not very confidently, I might. But do you mean to say that this infernal beetle has any connection with your expedition into the hills? It has. Then, Legrand, I can become a party to no such absurd proceeding. I am sorry, very sorry, for we shall have to try it by ourselves. Try it by yourselves? The man is surely mad. But stay, how long do you propose to be absent? Probably all night. We shall start immediately and be back at all events by sunrise. And will you promise me upon your honor that when this freak of yours is over and the bug business, good God, settles to your satisfaction, you will then return home and follow my advice implicitly as that of your physician? Yes, I promise. And now let us be off, for we have no time to lose. Can I say that I really love Legrand? He's such a great character. With a heavy heart, I accompanied my friend. We started about 4 o'clock. Legrand, Jupiter, the dog, and myself. Jupiter had with him the scythe and spades, the whole of which he insisted upon carrying, more through fear, it seemed to me, of trusting either of the implements within reach of his master, than for any excess of industry or complaisance. His demeanor was dogged in the extreme.
Woof, woof.
And that deuced bug were the sole words which escaped his lips during the journey. You know what? I'm beginning to think, like, the guy who put this on the website did, like, an auto-remove of, like, some words, and then accidentally, put the deuced, But I don't know, like, deuced doesn't mean, like, It's like that damn bug. Is that what he's saying, basically?
Hang on. Dr. Google here.
Okay, we are having to do Dr. Google today. Okay.
Yeah, it's practically like that damn bug, essentially.
Yeah, but why that part? Why did they remove that part? That makes no sense to me. Okay.
No idea.
Yeah. For my own part, I had charge of a couple of dark lanterns, while Legrand contended himself with the scarabaeus, which he carried attached to the end of a bit of whipcord, twirling it to and fro. Yeah, I love to and fro, with the air of a conjurer as he went. When I observed this last plain evidence of my friend's aberration of mind, I could scarcely refrain from tears. There, there, what it was appropriate. Okay, I thought it best, however, to humor his fancy, at least for the present, or until I could adopt some more energetic measures with a chance of success. In the meantime, I endeavored, but all in vain, to sound him in regard to the object of the expedition. Having succeeded in inducing me to accompany him, he seemed unwilling to hold conversation upon any topic of minor importance, and to all of my questions vouchsafed no other reply than, "We shall see." I hate the word vouchsafed. I have never liked it. It doesn't sound like good English. It sounds like you just mushed two words together. I've seen it in a couple of other texts, not Poe, just in general, and it always looks weird to me. Like, there are certainly better words to use. Okay, but never mind. Sorry, getting a bit of an English teacher rant over here. Okay, we crossed the creek at the head of the island by means of a skiff, and ascending the high grounds on the shore of the mainland, proceeded in a northwesterly direction through a tract of country excessively wild and desolate, where no trace of human footsteps was to be seen. Legrand led the way with decision, pausing only for an instant here and there to consult what appeared to be certain landmarks of his own contrivance upon the former occasion. In this manner, we journeyed for about 2 hours, and the sun was just setting when we entered a region indefinitely more dreary than any yet seen.
Oh no!
I was hoping for like I was hoping for like a spooky woo. It was a species of tableland near the summit of an old inaccessible hill, densely wooded from base to pinnacle, and interspersed with huge crags that appeared to lie loosely upon the soil, and in many cases were prevented from precipitating themselves into the valley below, merely by the support of the trees against which they reclined. Deep ravines in various directions gave an air of still sterner solemnity to the scene. God damn it, that's a difficult sentence. Try to say that like 5 times fast. Still sterner solemnity of the scene.
That's one powerful sentence, though.
Yeah. The natural platform to which we had clambered was thickly overgrown with brambles. What, no ouch?
No,
it's like, bramble, the spiky bush,
Yep.
Okay. Papapishu, yeah. Though which we soon discovered that it would have been impossible to force our way, but for the scythe and Jupiter, by direction of his master, proceeded to clear for us a path to the foot of the enormously tall tulip tree. Tulip tree.
Tulip tree.
Yeah.
I didn't know tulips came from trees.
I don't think they do. I think tulip tree is just what kind of a which stood with some height of 10 oaks. Wait. What do you mean? How much is one oak? Okay. Tulip tree. I think it has to be some kind of willow because they're in the swamplands. Liriandrin. Tulip tree. Genus of two species, characteristic trees. Deducius over there. Yeah, I'm on Wikipedia. It's a magnolia. Okay. Yeah, so it's not actually related to tulips then. Sorry. Okay, but how long is an oak? Because he's measuring it by oaks. 8 or 10 oaks. Man, those Americans will use anything but metric. Upon the level, and far surpassed them all, and all other trees which I had then ever seen in the beauty of its foliage and form.
Ooh, look at the foliage.
And in the widespread of its branches. Sorry, I read that badly. And in the general majesty of its appearance. When we reached this tree, Legrand turned to Jupiter and asked him if he thought he could climb it. The old man seemed a little staggered by the question, and for some moment made no reply. At length he approached the huge trunk, walked slowly around. Not an elephant's trunk. A tree trunk. Oh dear. Ugh, okay. I had a really dumb joke that I thought up this morning. I'll try to see if I can remember it, but, you're gonna love it once I do remember it.
Okay.
Walked slowly around it and examined it with minute attention. When he had completed
It's definitely a trunk.
When he had completed his scrutiny, he merely said, "Yes, massa, Choop climb any tree he ever see in his life. Then up with you as soon as possible, for it will soon be too dark to see what we are about." What we are about. Whoa, that's an interesting way to say it.
I was expecting Jupiter to tell the ground to go stuff himself there when he said to climb the tree.
I guess he's a talented tree climber. People like to climb trees sometimes. How far must go up, massa? Inquired Jupiter. Get up to the main trunk first, and then I will tell you which way to go. And here, stop. Take this beetle with you. The bug, massa will? The good bug? Cried the Negro, drawing back his dismay. Again, not the right cry, but okay. What for the... sorry, I'm going to have to switch over to the book again. I picked this specifically so we wouldn't have to use the book, but my God. Ugh.
It looked like it censored "Don't mind if I do."
Okay. Okay, this is interesting. So, in my book as well, that last part is D-N. Here it's D, a long dash N.
I think I know what it's supposed to mean. It's like, "Don't mind if I do." As in, like, don't mind. Like, don't mind. Like, he's merged. Don't. Like, as like a, quicker word, so it's like...
Well, I'm thinking it says damn if I think it's damn if I do. Because he doesn't want to do.
Yeah, true.
Because he's crying in dismay. He doesn't want to take the bug with him. That's the thing. What for must I tote the bug way up the tree? Damn if I do. If you are afraid, Shub, a great big Negro like you, to take hold of a harmless little deed beetle. Sorry. Again, the fusion of the... I can't really do a New Orleans accent, but it is somehow morphing into that, momentarily. And also the Jamaican accent, yeah.
Jamaican, Irish, pirate.
Jamaican me crazy. I think I remember the joke, by the way. There's this T that's very, very difficult to find, Kaiser. You'd love it. It's called obscurity.
Oh.
Yeah, never mind. Okay. I lost my place. I have no idea where I was.
If you were afraid, Jupe, I think that's what you're on about.
Yeah, that's where it starts. Yeah. I'll start over because I forgot. If you are afraid, Jube, a great big Negro like you, to take hold of a harmless little dead beetle, why you can carry it up by the string. But if you do not take it up with you in some way, I shall be under the necessity of breaking your head with a shovel. What the matter now, massa?
Now.
What the matter now, massa? Said Jupe, evidently shamed into compliance. Always want for to raise fuss with old neighbor. Was only funnin' anyhow. Me fear the bug. What I care for the bug. Here he took cautiously hold of the extreme end of the string and, maintaining the insect as far from his person as circumstances would permit, prepared to ascend the tree.
I feel bad for Jupiter.
Yeah, this is turning into a bit of a vaudeville act. Like, I can imagine him like holding his arm out with the bug from a string. Yeah. In youth, the tulip tree, or Liriodendron tulipiferum, the most magnificent of American foresters. Wow, this guy really is a nature nut, isn't he? Mm-hmm. Like a bit of a tree hugger himself. Has a trunk peculiarly smooth, and often rises to a great height without lateral branches. But oh boy! But in its riper age, the bark becomes gnarled and uneven, while
no!
What?
Continue.
While many short limbs... Are you thinking that he's like climbing a big penis? Is that what you're laughing about?
I'm not saying yes or no to that, but...
Yeah, because this story did take a bit of a turn earlier, but yeah.
I know.
While many short limbs make their appearance on the stems, thus the difficulty of ascension in the present case lay more in in semblance than in reality. Embracing the huge cylinder as closely as possible, with his arms and knees, seizing with his hands some projections and resting his naked toes upon others, Jupiter, after one or two narrow escapes from falling, at length wriggled himself into the first great fork, and needed to consider the whole business as virtually accomplished. The risk of the achievement was, in fact, now over, although the climber was more 60 or 70 feet from the ground.
Wow.
Which way must go now, Massa Will? He asked. Keep on the largest branch, and the one on this side, said Legrand. The Negro obeyed him.
How's he hearing him when he's 60 to 70 feet up in the sky?
He has a very loud voice.
Yeah, okay, I'll buy that.
The Negro obeyed him promptly, and apparently with but little trouble, ascending higher and higher until no glimpse of his squat figure could be obtained through the dense foliage which enveloped it. Presently his voice... that was the enveloping sound.
Yep.
A slurp. Oh boy. Presently his voice was heard in a sort of halloo. I don't know how else to say that, sorry. How much further is got to forego? How high up are you? Asked Legrand. Ever so far, replied the Negro. Can see the sky through the top of the tree. Never mind the sky, but attend to what I say. Look down the trunk and count the limbs below you on this side. How many limbs have you passed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I done pass 5 big limb, massa, put this side. Then go 1 limb higher. In a few minutes the voice was heard again, announcing that the 7th limb was attained. Now, Jupe, cried Legrand, evidently much excited, I want you to work your way out upon the limb as far as you can. If you see anything strange, let me know. By this time, what little doubt I might have entertained of my poor friend's insanity was put finally at rest. I had no alternative but to conclude him stricken with lunacy, and I became seriously anxious about getting him home. While I was pondering upon what was best to be done, Jupiter's voice was again heard. Most feared for the venture upon this limb very far. This dead limb, putty, much all the way. Did you say it was a dead limb, Jupiter? Cried Legrand in a quavering voice. Quavering.
Will it be
Or quiver.
like a wobbling voice?
If it was I would have said quivering voice, but or maybe I'm reading it incorrectly.
I'm guessing he's very shaken with excitement at this point.
Yeah. Yes, massa, him dead as the doornail, done up for sartain, done departed this here life. What in the name of heaven shall I do? Asked Legrand, seemingly in the greatest distress. Do, said I, glad of an opportunity to interpose a word. Why, come home and go to bed. Come now. That's a fine fellow. It's getting late, and besides, you remember your promise. Jupiter, cried he, without heeding me in the least. Do you hear me? Yes, Massa Will, I hear you ever so plain. Try the wood well, then, with your knife, and see if you think it very rotten.
Sorry, I just had a bizarre thought when they said go home, go to bed. I'm just picturing them walking off, and you got Jupiter still attached to the tree, going, "Hello, I'm stuck up here. Hello, get me down."
Oh no, he'll find his way down. Don't, trust me. Gravity does like half the work. Okay. Him rotten, massa, sure enough, replied the Negro in a few moments. But not so very rotten as mout be. Mout venture out little way upon the limb by myself, that's true. By yourself? What do you mean? Why, I mean the bug, this very heavy bug. Suppose I drop him now down fuss, and then the limb won't break with just the weight of one neighbor. You infernal scoundrel, cried Legrand, apparently much relieved. What do you mean by telling me such nonsense as that? As sure as you let the beetle fall, I'll break your neck. Look here, Jupiter. Sorry, I completely lost the voice now. I'll break your neck. Look here, Jupiter. Do you hear me? Yes, massa. Needn't hollow at poor neighbor that style.
Nearly slipped up there.
Well, well, now listen. If you will venture out on the... What?
I was just doing the Zelda sound. Hey, listen.
Oh, okay. Well, now listen. If you will venture out on the limb as far as you think safe, and not let go of the beetle, I will make you a present, a silver dollar, as soon as you get down. I'm gwine, Massa Will. Deed I is, replied the Negro very promptly. Must out to the end now. Out to the end. Here fairly screamed Legrand. I'm not screaming too much. My throat is actually hurting a bit. Do you say you are out to the end of that limb? Soon to be to the end, massa. Oh, logolomasi.
Oh no.
What is this here upon the tree? Well, cried Legrand, highly delighted. What is it? Why, 'tain't nothing but a skull. Somebody left him hid up in the tree, and the crows don't gobble every bit of the meat off. A skull, you say? Very well.
What is this, predator now?
How is it fastened to the limb? What holds it on? Sure enough, massa, must look. Why, it is very curious circumstance. Upon my word, there's a great big nail in the skull. What fastens it up onto the tree? Well now, Jupiter, do exactly as I tell you. Do you hear? Yes, massa? Pay attention then. Find the left eye of the skull. Hum-hoo. That's good. Why, there ain't no eye left in at all. Curse your stupidity. Do you know your right hand from your left? Yes, I knows that. Knows all about that. This my left hand, what I chops the wood with. To be sure, you are left-handed, and your left eye is on the same side as your left hand. Now, I suppose you can find the left eye of the skull, or to place where the left eye has been. Have you found it? Here was a long pause. That's not why I paused. That's not why I paused, but that was accidentally appropriate. At length the Negro asked, Is the left eye of the skull upon the same side as the left hand on the skull too? 'Cause the skull ain't got not a bit of a hand at all. Never mind, I go left-eyed now. Here, the left eye. What must do with it? Let the beetle drop through it, as far as the string will reach, but be careful and not let go of your hold of the string. Oh, This voice is gonna be the fucking death of me. Oh, the done massa will. Mighty easy thing for to put the bug through the hole. Look out for him there below. During this colloquy, no portion of Jupiter's person could be seen, but the beetle, which he had suffered to descend, was now visible at the end of the string and glistening like a globe of burnished gold in the last rays of the setting sun, some of which still faintly illuminated the eminence upon which we stood. The scarabaeus hung quite clear of any branches, and, if allowed to fall, would have fallen at our feet. Legrand immediately took the scythe and cleared with it a circular space, 3 or 4 yards in diameter, just beneath the insect, and, having accomplished this, ordered Jupiter to let go of the string and come down from the tree. Driving a peg with great nicety, really, into the ground and at the...
What was that?
Yeah, that...
Random beep.
Yeah, that wasn't me. I heard it too, though. Maybe was it your computer?
Probably.
At the
But
precise
either that or it was Jupiter swearing at Legrand.
At the precise spot where the beetle fell, my friend now produced from his pocket a tape measure, fastening one end of this at the point of the trunk of the tree which was nearest the peg. He unrolled it till it reached the peg, and thence farther unrolled it, and in the direction already established by the 2 points of the tree and the peg, for the distance of 50 feet, Jupiter cleared away the brambles with the scythe. At the spot thus attained, a second peg was driven, and about this, as a center, a rude circle about 4 feet in diameter. A what?
A rude circle. Oh my.
Well, yeah, that is a weird way. Crude circle would make more sense.
Yeah, I reckon crude.
About 4 feet in diameter, described. Oh, there's someone at the door. Let me see who thereat is, and this knocking explore.
Will Hunter return from his trip to the door? Find out next time on the Kaiser and Hyundai's YouTube Poecast.